It's September, and let's just go with the observable holidays for the month. All the different stuff there is. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the dancing accents. September, a month associated with kids going back to school where they get an education on to help themselves out in life. But sometimes that information learned becomes useless in the real world, where progress in one shape or another makes it obsolete. Here are 5 things they don't teach in school anymore. Cursive. This old school method of writing was utilized in the old days to minimize the lifting of the pen and use ink from a fountain. When done properly, it looks pretty nice. When done poorly, it looks like your doctor's prescription pad. Being the only time you use it nowadays is to sign for something, even dead and badly. With the advent of the computer, this form of writing is pretty much useless. Shorthand. Back in the days when a secretary had to take dictation, there was no way to write as fast as the boss spoke. The answer? Shorthand. For more writing, using small, fast strokes to represent letters and words. Of course, nowadays we add these things, we can capture spoken words electronically, and makes this skill obsolete. And with speech-to-text technology, makes it even simpler to get onto this thing. Printing press. Back in the days in graphic arts classes, they had one big old machine where you gather all your letters, assemble them to make words, and after assembling the blocks of backwards words, voila, you had printed paper. A lot of places, this is how you got the school newspaper and was taught so that you could possibly get a job at a printing publication. Of course, this was made obsolete by the Xerox machine. Side note, in between, there was the mimeograph, which was used to make copies for taking tests and such, but like the printing press, made obsolete by Xerox machines, depriving kids from the habit of smelling the paper when you handed it out. Ask your parents. Computer punch card. Before this, there was this. Computers are big, clunky, room-filling things that had a lot of moving parts. To operate a specific task, you had to know how to enter the data. That data is provided by papers with holes at specific places. These cards were the equivalent of software. Imagine this is Photoshop, this was Word, this is video. Classes were offered to teach people how to make these cards, thereby offering them jobs in the computer industry later. Of course, this was replaced by the introduction of enterable software, which instead of physical programming, could just be entered with a keyboard. Old programming language. Speaking of software, when they first came out, there was a bunch of different forms of programming. Like a lot of things when new, there are multiple formats trying to be the one that ultimately survives to become the norm. But until that time comes, someone has to teach the latest, greatest software to be used, only to be ousted when all the stuff you learned became of no use. Basic, COBOL, Pascal, Scriptset are some of the languages that either died or evolved to the language used today. Some people still retain knowledge of these programming skills for project purposes or be able to operate old equipment out there, but these languages were invented pre-internet, so it's better to learn something like these, where the commands incorporate functions where internet is included. That's 5 things they don't teach you in school anymore. Back to the program. And for the freebie of the month, for Comic Book Day, have a comic book. If you're a Patreon or bought me a coffee, then thank you for your support. If not, head over to my Patreon page, pick up your freebie, and sign up. Or go to my Buy Me a Coffee page if you prefer to a la carte myself. Thanks again, and see you soon.